Welcome back. We are joined by Keren and Assaf, the BeachBum and Globes, who are going to be in a fireside chat entitled From a Beach Bum to a Mega Exit. So we're eagerly awaiting this. Let's introduce Keren and Assaf. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hello. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, guys. Excellent. We're eagerly awaiting what you guys have to talk about. So I'm going to hand over straight to you.
Thank you. Thanks. So hello, everyone, and thanks for coming. I'm Assaf, a tech editor and writer at Globes, which is a financial news outlet here in Israel. Behind me is the beautiful Tel Aviv beach, and not just by chance, because we're going to talk about BeachBum. So happy to speak today with Keren Marom, which is BeachBum's COO and CMO. Now, this company has had a lot of press recently, but I know them back from 2015 or so. When we heard about this new cool company, totally under the radar, founded by two of the most prominent gaming founders, Gigi Levy Weiss and Uri Shachak, the guys that brought us Playtika. They were totally under the radar until only 4 months ago, when on the same day that they came forward, they were also acquired by the French casual gaming company Voodoo for approximately $300 million in cash and a few more in milestones to complete a higher sum in the future. So as for the fire chat today, we will have a few minutes in the end for questions, so make sure to post them here. So Keren, good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great, so let's start maybe with a short idea about BeachBum, where are you located, how many people in the company, what actually are you doing?
Okay, BeachBum is a social games company. We really focus on the traditional games, evergreen games that are brought from generation to generation. We basically have about 170 employees today. We're based in Ra'anana in Israel. And it's just really been an amazing ride, and we're really looking forward. We're really in the beginning of it. We feel like it's just going to get bigger. Yeah,
on the Ra'anana beach, I guess.
Yeah.
Great. So, so I understand it's a company that started with backgammon. Of all genres, why backgammon?
Backgammon is a game that we saw had a lot of potential. We saw similar games out there that were very different from ours, like also backgammon games, but brought in a different way, a little bit more old school. And we wanted to really go ahead and make it something bigger, take it, the traditional game that's passed on and has a very high retention rate, and bring them the new world of gaming in a digital environment. So we saw the KPIs, you know, like when you start a new company and when you start a new game, you always check out the industry. You want to really make sure there is a market. And we saw similar games generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a month without even half the things that we had in our agenda. So we really thought there was a potential there, and it proved us right over time.
Yeah, but this is not a traditional genre. I mean, it's not a company that is built to grow in the US. I mean, who plays backgammon in the US? I mean, I guess there are some, but obviously in the other places in the Middle East or maybe Europe, what geo challenges did you see?
Overall, backgammon is something that has many different countries. The US pretty much surprised us, actually, that many people are players and serious players there. Israel is a very large market as well. We found that the Middle East has many players that are very much aware of the game, so it's much easier to bring them in and on board. The challenges I think we saw were really the fact that it's a niche game. So there were geos that we could go run over net and, you know, put the wide net and bring anyone in and go in the traditional media channels, even influencers and things like that, where everyone would understand what backgammon is. But the targeting is definitely something we need to focus on in order to bring the right players on board. So it's definitely more complex, but when you bring the right players, it's amazing. And the feeling of players playing with someone head to head live. You know, in the beginning of when we just launched, we had hours where the team would be playing just because we were in beta phase and we didn't have players for the liquidity. And I saw a friend of mine, her excitement when she had a friend of hers go online against her. And it's this wow effect that you wouldn't even expect to have in a backgammon game, right? But it's amazing. The social element adds a lot to it.
Great. So let's maybe get back to the beginning. So how did you guys get started? I mean, the company was founded by other, founders not in the company today, which are Gigi Levy and Uri Shachak, and then they handed it to you guys in the middle, which is Shachar, the CEO, Gili Levy, not Gigi Levy, but Gili Levy, the other founder, and you, Keren. So this company has basically 5 founders. So what's happened there?
Well, we all came from different backgrounds. Over time, Gigi and Uri knew exactly what they wanted. But I guess once the previous exits happened, I think Uri said it best when he said, I want to be the grandfather of the company. So he was very selective and handpicked everyone he brought on board. They approached me, and Shachar and Gili started out as external tech providers. And over time, the fit was just so right and seamless. It just made sense to everyone. So we joined forces and we run the company as co-founders. Gigi was the chairman of the board until recently, until the acquisition. And Uri was initially, we would call him the VP product because he's a very intelligent product guy. And over time, he just understood that he has people he can trust, and we would just consult with them if needed, but we ran it and we still run it pretty much independently. But I do give them a lot of credit. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So I guess in the early days, it was a little bit, a little more struggles and difficulties than you have today. I mean, can you let me know a little bit about those, challenges that you tackled on those early days of the company?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges is always selecting the right people to join the company. People, it sounds so cliche, but it's so true that the people, that's what matters and that's what makes a difference. So initially as a startup, you're all over the place, but as much as we had organized methods and organized teams, we really needed the right leaders to impact and help us move forward. So that's definitely a challenge, but happily I can say that I'm really proud of our accomplishments there, and it keeps going. And in addition, the marketing is definitely a challenge sometimes. It's our growth engine. It's something that can definitely continue to grow, and we see it happening month over month. But the industry itself is going through changes. If 10 years ago, acquiring a user was like, tens of cents. Now and we're talking dollars and tens of dollars in many cases. So definitely a challenge. But at the same time, Facebook and Apple and Google aren't necessarily helping with all the privacy changes. So we definitely have our ups and downs, but we work with them all to find to make the best out of the situation. Those are the main challenges, I think, because to be honest with you, coming from the background of Playtika, we were initially in the first Playtika office in Tel Aviv, and having meetings and having people come to us was really nice, because I think for them it was deja vu to come and meet with us, a few years later in the same place.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from Playtika? Was like any genes passing from Playtika to BeachBum?
I think we always had great relations, so I'm happy to say that we had. It's like our industry in general in Israel is very tight knit, and so we definitely learn from everyone. I can tell you that the genes were passed down, but the industry changes so fast that we really need to invent things on our own, things that worked back then, or things that didn't work back then, right? You can't keep your eyes closed. You have to be open to everything, try new things, because the users are different, the people are different, the usage of apps are different. So the behavior is different. You just have to keep going, keep testing, and that's really the true nature of the industry.
Great. So when was the moment when you realized it was, it was a wow moment, that you're really making it?
I think the moment I realized it was a wow moment was, every phase you go through, you think it's a wow moment, and then quickly you realize that there are bigger wow moments when you keep growing, right? So the first time deposited $5 in the app was really exciting. And then we moved on to 100 and more. But I think that one of the biggest wow moments was when in one of our board meetings, Gigi mentioned, he threw out a number to another board member. Someone asked, how high do you think the backgammon can go? And he threw out a number, and after the board meeting, honestly, Shachar, Gili, and I were laughing, saying, wow, Gigi really has high hopes here. It was like triple what we were making then. And the wow moment was when we reached it, a few months later. So when you look back and see something that initially people were telling me, oh, you're leaving your current company for a backgammon game, and even my husband was laughing. So over time, you realize that when you really want to make something work and you have the right tools, the right people, it's possible. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I guess it's a game that we Israelis can easily get connected to. So there's also a sentimental aspect to it, I guess. Yeah. So mobile games saw a lot of growth during the COVID-19. Did you experience that as well?
Definitely experienced it. I kind of felt bad that so many industries were in turmoil and the gaming kept going, and it was really an amazing phase where, to be honest with you, I felt like I was in heaven when it came to media buying. I felt like all the CPIs plummeted and I just didn't know where to start. So I added more resources, outsources, and everything just to run forward faster before it was over. And so we had a really nice boost also inside the retention, the DAO. KPIs were great. But I can also say that we didn't feel it stop so much because during that time, the product really pushed forward on different features. And so after half a year of COVID, we implemented new products and new features in the games, and that gave an even bigger boost. So, with all due respect to COVID, it's really up to us to just, first of all, take advantage of crazy opportunities like that, and also just not let it stop us and keep going, because you save up for a rainy day, and you also have to keep going even when it's good, to increase as much as you can.
Yeah, but I mean, the company was built to allow people in different places to play together, and when people were confined in their homes, I guess it was like a big surge for gaming. And
more people definitely played. We saw the traction on the games. We got a lot of feedback, to your point, about people connecting with people through the backgammon, because when they're used to playing live, then this way they really can play with their friends. And it's not even just the backgammon. It's also spades. We launched recently on the Spades Royale video chat, where you can see the person you're playing with and talk to the people on the table, right? And so we've had some funny cases where people join online. One of them was driving and we're telling him, listen, it's not the time to play. But it's nice to see the people. It's nice to really have this higher level of communication, especially during these times when you feel lonely.
Yeah. Now, you guys have been under the radar for a long time. How do you feel as a CMO and COO, and when you have to sell your product and hire new people, but you have to be under the radar?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't a deliberate decision to be under the radar. We just really did what we did quietly, and we really focused internally instead of externally on how to make it work. Because in the beginning, when you're really founding a company, you really need to first justify it. And to justify it initially, you really just need the few good connections to start pitching it, start moving it forward with the right messaging, and not necessarily making so much noise. So I think it's now getting adjusted to not being under the radar, to be honest with you. But I'm just really happy and proud of what we're doing here. And the people here are amazing. So I would say that it's definitely something that's going to keep going, and our biggest focus is to make it a fun place to work and a fun place to be. And because I think that when people are happy, then they invest and they do things better, so being outside the radar, or I don't know how to say it, my English is gone ever since I moved here, is definitely something that opens us up to new opportunities and to new people who we meet.
Now, when the French company, the acquirer Voodoo, approached you, what was your initial reaction? I mean, did you guys were on track to, hey, we're going to IPO, don't mess with us, or hey, maybe it's a good idea to get bought? What was your reaction?
It's a good question, to be honest with you. At the time, the industry is full of consolidation. You know, that's a big trend, obviously. We would sit in meetings and turn off our phones and then open it and say, oh, we bet there was a deal going on, you know? So I was approached by a lot of people, a lot of companies at the time, and we made a collective decision to hold off on selling the company and to revisit it at the end of this year. What happened was when Voodoo approached us, they were really, really assertive, you know, and I even told Shachar at the time, you know, they want all the information, all the KPIs, you know, I really don't know if it's the right decision to even send it at the time, because it was just really an exhausting process, that whole, you know, those few months of thinking of selling or not. And then we decided to send something I already created in order not to spend more time on preparing KPIs. So, you know, I told them, here, this is what I have. You know, if you want this format, let's go for it. And I think they were really impressed by the numbers. They actually gave me feedback that the format was excellent. So it was nice to at least have their back on understanding that we're very accurate and very thorough in what we do. And over time, we just really had a great connection, you know, and throughout the process, I'm, you know, even though I'm American, I've become Israeli. Part of what I like here is that people are straightforward and honest. So I told them, you know, we're not looking to sell right now, but they kept the conversation going. And every time we had more discussions, we all just connected even more. And I can tell you that looking back, it was as tough as the due diligence process was and everything before the deal and the acquisition. We always ended with a smile, and really, you know, both sides wanting to make it work and finding the right solution. So it's amazing.
So how do you see BeachBum growing now as a part of Voodoo, and what each side brings to the table?
Well, the reason why we were really open to continuing discussions with Voodoo is because they wanted to reassure us always that they want us to be independent and to do our own thing. So I'm happy to say that this is really the plan. We're business as usual. You know, we're continuing with our plans. We're pushing forward. It's nice to know we have the backing of Voodoo if needed, and we're part of a larger company that has so many different resources and visions and people who we really are on the same wavelength with, you know, whether it's the casual, and they are very different also with their business model, right? Most of their activity is ad monetization, the hyper casual business, where we're on the casual side. So we have teams over there that are on the casual side that we have a lot of knowledge sharing, and a lot, you know, some of my marketing team now is in Paris, and, you know, sharing things and learning together and getting new processes up and running, because each team comes from a different angle. But it's really nice to know that it's our decision. And so I feel like things are the same. You know, maybe we have more opportunities, more excitement, but it's amazing to see that I can happily say that it's very similar.
I remember while covering the story of the acquisition that you guys had a far-fetched plan to go to IPO. However, since then we're seeing a bad sentiment in the stock market for gaming companies. I can bring examples such as Playtika and Zynga. What happened? Why gaming is not attractive anymore for investors?
See, that's the thing. I think it depends which investors, okay? Because on the one hand, I think that it doesn't look attractive when you look at the stock market. At the same time, I just hear more and more investments in the gaming industry, right? I think it depends on the investors who are open more. On the other hand, gaming has become more attractive than it was before. You know what I mean? Before all the acquisitions, I think people were veering away from gaming. And now, overall, there are many acquisitions, many, not just acquisitions, many investments. Like just yesterday, there was $150 million invested in Axie. Like there are many different things still going, but maybe in different directions of gaming, whether it's blockchain, whether it's, you know, the more of the casual types of gaming also. But I know that there are many, many activities going out there. I guess it depends on what they're looking for. I actually asked one of our investors what he thought about the gaming industry. He says, whoever doesn't invest is making a huge mistake, you know? So there are still those who are rooting for gaming. And I really think that with all these consolidations, there are going to be really large companies out there, and they just open new opportunities also for the rest of them. So I personally believe in it.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, we see if you're in the metaverse business, okay, so we see metaverse companies do attract interest. For instance, Roblox, maybe even Microsoft, which has Minecraft, for instance. So what are your plans for the metaverse?
I think we're taking it one step at a time right now. Okay, with the acquisition, trying to merge and already we're exposed to so much more information and ideas. But I can tell you that we have a lot of joint thinking with Voodoo and the team, and we're always at the front line. So we're in the process of brainstorming everything, right? I agree that it's something that will be huge over time. And so I wouldn't shun and take it off the agenda right now.
Yeah. So do you think we'll all play Begamon and Rami on the metaverse soon? And maybe...
Well, you could start with our avatars. And but I think that we have the fundamental framework for with the gaming and the avatars and like things like that, but it's something that definitely we have to take one step at a time. Let's talk maybe in a year and maybe we'll be in a different place on that.
So
right
last
now,
question. Yeah,
please.
last question. Any lessons from the long road you've taken during as a private company? Any lessons you want to share with starting gaming entrepreneurs?
Sure. First of all, there's a lot that we're all learning every day, and I can tell you that a few things I would suggest. Okay, number one, move fast. Okay, do quick releases, get feedback, do cycles quickly. Don't wait and launch something that later on you might have to roll back. And don't just try to be agile. Okay, that's number one. Do focus groups where you get feedback, even things, because over time you already take things for granted. You think that the first time user experience is already there, and always test yourself. Don't take things for granted. Always test yourself. Be very selective in your team. Okay, don't settle. That's really my opinion, because every team member makes a difference. 80-20 rule is very critical. Gigi once said, I think this is one of the best advice I got, when he said, 80% of the things can be accomplished in 20% of your time, right? So even if you're gonna go, don't be a perfectionist. Okay, and I'm a perfectionist, and I'm working on myself not to be, because when the 80% you can do in 20% of your time, and then the next 20% is super expensive when it comes to the minutes and hours you need to invest in making it perfect. So when you're a startup, just run. Don't be perfect. In the meantime, you can keep going and improving things as you go, but don't wait for perfection. And shoot high, shoot high, because if you asked me 6 years ago if BeachBum would be joining Voodoo, and I really have high hopes for this connection and to become this really huge superpower in gaming, so I would have never believed it. Although we always shot high. So shoot high, never stop yourself, and if you have the passion, then you can really make things work. And even learning that something isn't the way to go is learning.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I think maybe we have one little minute for questions from the audience, if we do have any. So
I think we'll carry on there. I did have some questions, and you even mentioned metaverse, so we better avoid the metaverse topic, otherwise we'll be here all day.
Sure.
But I think given the time, and it's been a fascinating talk. Thank you both for it and your time, Keren. Again, I'm gonna have to just stop myself from carrying on these questions, or otherwise we'll overrun. So yeah, I will say thank you both, and we'll have to wrap it up there and move on, I'm afraid. I'm really sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Assaf.
Thank you very much, Keren. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.